I used to think that loneliness in academia was mostly a PhD thing, maybe a postdoc thing. The late nights in the lab, the uncertainty with where will I be in a year, how will my contract situation turn out, will I be able to start a family? The feeling that everyone else had a map and maybe I did not. But that is not the only kind of loneliness. There is another loneliness that can arrive much later. When you made it far enough to be trusted with more teaching, more research, more people, more responsibility, more expectations. That's the point when loneliness starts to creep in. Because at some point the job stops being just about your own work. You are expected to publish, to teach well, to mentor students, to serve on committees, to navigate the politics of the faculty, to network strategically, and to keep everything looking calm. And if you become a junior principal investigator or an associate professor on the track upward, the isolation can become sharper, not softer. You are visible now, you're responsible now, but not necessarily supported. Academia is a social system with hierarchies, although some people claim it's not. Some people find stability outside work, in partners, in families, in a life that absorbs them. However, others do not have that cushion. And some people that seem to have something to rely on, a home, they still feel alone. Because exactly functional homes can't completely cancel out an exhausting workplace, the everyday troubles that you have to deal with yourself in your loneliness. What makes this loneliness hard to name is that it often looks like success from the outside. You have the titles, you have the office, you have the website, you have the grant, but there is also the grant pressure, the publication pressure, the students, the committees, the email load, all the hidden labor. And that's why you can feel strangely unseen in your office with your titles on the website. I have heard versions of this from people who eventually left, that they kept going because the next step was supposed to fix it, because leaving would mean failing. But I also heard this sentence, a very honest sentence. I only heard it once. This route was not for me. Without anger, without grief, just positive, looking into a new direction. And I think it deserves to be said without shame. Not every exit is collapse. Sometimes it is clarity. For those who stick around, who stay, and still feel this loneliness, support exists. Of course, finding it and making space for it, that is another challenge. Who wants to go to counseling? Who wants to find a mentor? Who wants to ask for admin support? What I can provide for you if you are in that situation is practical help with teaching, so that this side of the burden feels a little lighter. I am not a professor. I didn't make it into that career track, but I worked in academia for a long time, and apart from the responsibility for employees, I had similar tasks, and the loneliness did creep in. It was accompanying me for a pretty long time. I lived with this feeling quietly. I thought also that endurance was the same as belonging. It doesn't matter in which stage of your academic career you are, I'm 100% sure you can relate. Either you have seen it in colleagues, you have experienced it yourself, or I'm sure you will experience it at some point. And if you are in this place too, at this point or later, I want you to know that you are not failing. You may simply be carrying too much in a place, academia, that asks too much. And that is the norm. That is what's normal for us. If the teaching load is part of what is crushing you, maybe the first relief is not a dramatic decision, that it's not for you because you may not be the teacher, educator that the system needs. Maybe it is a smaller practical act of support that I can offer you. However, in general, I want to end this by saying we are lonely, but we are many. And it's a unspoken secret that it is true for both women and men. It is true for people that already have a professorship, people that start a professorship, young faculty fighting for a professorship or a faculty job. It is true for associated faculty, for people that come and go and that are paid only for teaching. They are part of the system, but kind of not. And that brings in also a certain aspect of isolation. There is the pressure also to perform, and everything is kind of seen. So admitting that there is a lack, a gap, or something that needs external help to grow, that can be perceived as he is not fit enough, she's not strong enough. Asking for help, like in many jobs, can feel like revealing weakness. However, when you ask at the right time and when you do it really to get the results in that you need, this pays off. So instead of hustling from term to term, from grant to grant, from paper to paper, make this incision now. Ask yourself, what is one thing where I get external support, either from the university or from external counseling or consulting, that I can work with, that makes my academic life easy in that respect? I'm sure there are articles and papers out there about the mental health issues in academia, also in young faculty, not only in PhD and postdoc levels. But I wanted to address this by making this video, and if you find this and if you feel that, just know it's not just you. It's basically almost everybody around you feeling the same.